If you're a coach or an offer owner with a high ticket offer, you already know that authority is the ultimate competitive advantage, especially when you're seen as the go-to expert in your niche. Then clients come to you pre-sold, price objections disappear, and naturally your close rate skyrockets as well. But here's the problem. Most of the time, people think that building authority means you need to post every single day and spend hours engaging with other people's content and basically turning LinkedIn into your full-time job. And if you're already running a business, then as we know, you just don't have time for that. So over the course of this video, I'm going to give you a complete breakdown that you can do in 30 days to build authority on LinkedIn without the time drain. So I'm going to make sure that this is a tactical framework that you can implement immediately. And it's this exact type of approach that I've leveraged to grow to over 55,000 followers on the platform, to scale to over 10 million impressions, and also to have some of our clients get to the point where they've gained 4,000 followers in just 30 days. So with all of that said, let's dive right in. So I want to kick off with really the core problem. And that's the fact that right now, your ideal client has a problem that you can solve, but they're not thinking of you because you're completely invisible to them. They're thinking of someone else, a competitor, an influencer, a brand that they already follow. And they might just be as qualified as you, or not even as experienced, but because you're invisible, you're going to lose the battle to them. So what we can see here is authority isn't just about credentials. It's really about visibility and also consistency, because your ideal client needs to actually be able to see that you're showing up, that you're delivering value, and you're demonstrating expertise repeatedly before they can actually perceive you as the go-to expert. And so the second part of this issue is that most coaches and consultants, they end up approaching LinkedIn like a megaphone, right? So they post about their services, their offers, their wins, but that's not actually how authority is built. Authority is built by teaching, not simply selling. And so when you give away your best strategies for free, people actually start to see you as the expert. And then when they are ready to invest, you become the obvious choice, right? And so we have to start to think about, well, how do we actually build this type of authority without spending each and every single day on LinkedIn? Because as we can see here, we want to focus on really teaching and not simply just selling, right? And so this question is really the question right now. So what I'm going to do is walk you through a breakdown of how we can actually go about making this happen. So over the next 30 days, what I want you to do is to focus on 3 core elements. And these are going to be 3 core content pillars. The first is going to be a strategic posting cadence and 1 daily engagement block. And I'm going to break each of these things down. So the first content pillar is that you're going to identify 3 core topics that position you as the expert in your niche. So these are the areas where you've got deep expertise and where your ideal client has the most pain. And then every single piece of content that you create is going to fall under one of these 3 pillars. So the second part of this is that you're going to post 3 times per week, not every single day. And this is going to be immediately a sustainable rhythm that actually keeps you visible without this becoming too much of an onerous and strenuous task for you, right? So I'm going to show you exactly the types of posts to create so that each one actually builds on your authority. Now, the third component is strategic engagement. So I need you to spend 15 minutes per day simply engaging with content from your ideal clients and other authorities in your space. This is how you're going to get on their radar and then start to build relationships that can actually turn into opportunities. So that's all I need you to do. 3 pillars, 3 posts per week, and 15 minutes of daily engagement. And this is going to be a much more time leveraged approach that helps you to build authority without it completely taking over your life. So let's go through each of these components in a bit more detail to make sure that it can make as much sense as possible. So we spoke about the first step here, which is really defining your 3 content pillars, right? So these are going to be the core topics that you're talking about consistently over the next 30 days, right? And the key here is really being specific. You don't want to just have broad generic topics. You want to make sure that you're actually focusing on particular areas where you can really demonstrate deep expertise. So here's how I'd go about choosing them, right? Just ask yourself this question. What are the 3 biggest problems that my ideal client is facing right now? So these aren't just problems in general. Think about problems that you have a proven solution for. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you're a sales consultant for B2B founders, right? As an example here. Your 3 pillars might be outbound lead gen. So how do you fill your pipeline with qualified prospects? The second pillar could be high ticket sales, right? And conversions. How do you actually close deals without being pushy? The third pillar might be sales systems and scalability. So how do you build a repeatable sales process? So notice how specific these are. They're not just like sales tips or business growth tips. They're actually targeted problems with clear solutions. So here's another example, right? Let's say you're a leadership coach for executives. Your pillars could be, for example, building high performance teams, how to hire, retain, and motivate top talent. The second pillar could be scaling without burnout, how to delegate effectively and how to reclaim your time. And the third pillar could be executive decision making, so how to make high stakes decisions with confidence. So once you've got your 3 pillars based on your particular market, every single post that you do and every one that you create should fall under one of these pillars. And this ends up doing 2 things. First, it gives you clarity because you always know what to talk about. And the second thing is it signals to your audience that you are a specialist, not a generalist. And specialists are always perceived as authorities. So just take 5 minutes right now, as soon as we wrap up this video, write down your 3 content pillars. And if you want feedback, drop them in the comments and I'll personally review them and give you my thoughts and feedback on them. Now, the second step is about your posting cadence, right? So we mentioned that you're going to post 3 times per week. Let's start with a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. And each post has a specific purpose. So Monday is going to be your tactical post. This is where you're going to teach something actionable. Think of it as like a mini tutorial, right? So for example, the 5-sentence cold email that books sales calls, or how to structure a LinkedIn post for maximum engagement. The goal here is to give your audience a quick win, right? So when they implement your advice and get a result, you're immediately going to start to build trust and authority. So Wednesday is then going to be your case study or your proof post. So this is where you share a result either from yourself or from a client. So for example, how I helped a client go from 200 to 4,000 followers in 30 days. That could be an example from me. Or this is the exact strategy that I used to generate 10 million impressions this year. So the goal here is to demonstrate that your methods actually work and you're not just talking theory, you're actually showing proof. And then Friday is your mindset or perspective post. So this is where you're going to share a belief, a lesson, or some kind of contrarian take. So for example, in my case, it could be why are most coaches competing on price and then how to stop? Or what is the one thing that separates a 6-figure consultant from a 7-figure consultant? And the goal here is to position yourself as a thought leader. So you're not just teaching tactics, you're actually shaping how people think about their business. Now, this 3-post formula gives you variety, right? It keeps the audience engaged and it also builds authority from multiple different angles because you're teaching, you're proving, and you're leading. And because you're only posting 3 times per week, it becomes sustainable for you to manage around existing workload. Now, here is a tactical tip. What you can do is batch the way that you go about creating your content. So set aside 2 hours at the beginning of the week, write all 3 of these posts at once. That way you're not scrambling to come up with new ideas every single day. You create once and then you can distribute throughout the week. So let's move on to the third step that we spoke about. Now, this is one of the more underrated parts of building authority on LinkedIn, and it just takes about 15 minutes a day. Here's how you're going to go about structuring it. For the first 5 minutes, comment on authority posts. So find 3 to 5 posts from other recognized experts in your niche and leave thoughtful, value-adding comments. So not like great post or thanks for sharing. I'm talking about comments that actually add insight, right? So share a related experience or ask a smart question. This does a couple of things, right? It puts you in front of their audience and it also positions you as a peer and not just as a follower, right? Now, during the second 5 minutes, engage with your ideal clients. So go to the profiles of people who fit your ideal client avatar and engage with their content, right? Start conversations. This is how you can actually go and get on their radar. And when they see you consistently adding value, they're going to check out your profile. And if your profile is optimized, which we've covered in other videos, then they'll end up reaching out. Now, during the third 5 minutes, I want you to respond to comments on your own posts. And this is critical. So when someone takes the time to comment on your content, you should respond, right? Ask a follow-up question, thank them for their insight, or continue the conversation. Because this signals that you're accessible and you're also engaged, which helps to build trust. Plus, the LinkedIn algorithm rewards posts with high engagement. So responding to comments increases your reach, basically. And that's it. In 15 minutes per day, split it into 3 focus blocks. And then this is how you can build relationships, increase visibility, and position yourself as an authority without spending hours scrolling on your feed, right? So now after that 30 days, you can see you get to a point where really you're both increasing your visibility, increasing lead flow, and getting more category authority, right? So when we talk about that visibility piece, by posting 3 times per week and engaging strategically every day, you're showing up consistently in your network's feed. So people start recognizing your name, they start associating you with core topics, and you're no longer invisible. You actually get on people's radar. The second part is that you start generating inbound leads, because when you consistently deliver value, people end up reaching out. They're going to comment on your post, they're going to send you connection requests, they'll direct message you asking how they can work with you. And because your content has positioned you as the expert, these aren't tire kickers, they're actually high quality prospects who are pre-sold on your expertise. Now, the third part is that you establish category authority. So after 30 days of focused strategic content, you're no longer just another coach or consultant. You're actually the person that people think of when they have a problem in your niche. You become the go-to expert, and that's when everything really starts to change. Your close rate will go up, your pricing power increases, and your business becomes much, much easier to scale. And this is the exact approach that I used to grow to over 55,000 followers on LinkedIn and to generate over 10 million impressions over the last year. And it's the same framework that's helped clients to gain 4,000 followers in just 30 days and also to generate over 97,000 page views on their profile. So this does work, but you need to commit to it, of course, right? You can see an example here of the 97,000 page views that I mentioned. So this all absolutely works, but you actually going about actioning it, that's the bit that is on you. But if you are someone that does want to accelerate the process and actually go from zero to being a category leader even faster, what you will need is a full media engine, a real system that can handle the content creation, the posting, the engagement, and the optimization for you, so you can focus on closing deals, responding to DMs, and serving clients. So that is the approach that I use for our own LinkedIn presence and the one for our clients. So if that is something that you are interested in, I'll make sure that we leave some links in the description box below, or simply drop a comment with the word blueprint on this video and I'll send you a breakdown of how the full system works. Even if you start with just implementing this as a 30-day thing on your own, you will see a notable shift. But if you do want to accelerate the process, the best thing to do is to comment blueprint, and then we'll send you out that free breakdown. Now, I hope that you found the video helpful. It's been enjoyable to record it. Drop that word blueprint below, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.